And boom, baby. This is the Mimi Show. Let's see. What's happening here? Uh-oh. It wants to refresh my browser. Oh no,
Oh,
what's happening?
let's take it from the top.
Yep. Hold on. It won't
Getting
even let
intertwined.
me move.
Oh, it's
Okay.
going to be
Hold on.
one of
I'm at
those
it.
days. We'll make it. We'll make it.
Right.
One of those days.
I'll go back in and I'll go back out and come back in. Hold on.
Sounds good.
All right. And okay. Okay, so it's still running, so we're back. So I guess we're back. Hey everybody, this is the Mimi Show with a little technical difficulty. Again, we have Howie Zuo, emotional intelligence coach. I want to give a shout out to, of course, to my sponsors, Lil Skunky Products and Backburner Productions, and shout out to JV Media Productions. Stay skunky and make your dreams a reality, y'all. Get your vision out there. Today, we're going to be discussing and I guess allowing to bloom the topic of jealousy and enviousness and resentment and the rancor. Uh,
I love
be-
it.
yeah, because that's I think if we're talking emotional intelligence, then let's go to the hard let's go to a hard parts and do some inner works and some get some awareness.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to be back. Excited to talk about these topics. You know, people just don't like talking about it. We add this layer of shame, and man, they're just real human feelings. If we don't talk
Right.
about it, shit grow in the dark and cause problems later, right?
Well, I don't think we want to say that we get jealous. I don't think human beings actually naturally want to be accepting that we do get jealous or that we do get keep, feelings of rancor and
What's wrong with being human? What's wrong with being human? Tell me more. You trying to be perfect or
wanting to be
something?
better.
I ain't
Right. I want to be
perfect.
a
I ain't
better.
perfect.
I'm better than that. I'm not jealous. I got jealous. I know jealousy. I know rancor. I know years of
Yeah.
rancor.
I'll say this metaphor I use because I work with a lot of men, right? And the metaphor I use is like if you want to lift weights, you want to lift heavier weights, you got to figure out what's the weight you can't lift no more,
Mm,
right? You got to literally feel like, oh man, I can't move it anymore. Then you know where the bar is. And until you find that moment of I can't do more, that's when you can start training to I can be better. It doesn't matter if it's 25 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever. You got to find that start point. Because you just do 2 pound weights all day, that's cool. You'll always succeed, but you ain't going nowhere.
right. So you want to go where you can't handle it, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And
You
that's where
have
the
to
work
admit it.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
admitting. That's hard to do. That's hard to do because doesn't that make it seem like then I'd be judging myself and that's hard to do to say no.
Judging is when you bring good, bad, weak, strong, whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just, if I said this shirt is green,
Yeah.
I'm not judging it. It just is. If I can bench 135, it's not good, bad. It's just where I'm at.
Mm, mm. Have you have you read the 48 Laws of Power by any chance?
I have not. I'll add it to the list if you bring it up.
It's it's the man this is my understanding, but he lived in the world of Hollywood and he saw how manipulating it is and how the fakery and whatnot. So he wrote this book that shows how these people maneuver, how it is that people maneuver in manipulative type of ways. And I feel like a lot of times accepting things like, that, yeah, I'm jealous of her or I'm jealous of that, or, or oh, I'm over that and no you're not, is allowing for people that know how to use those things against you. You know, it's almost like opening a door. It's claiming vulnerability,
Hmm. It is.
isn't it?
When when you claim it, when you know yourself, people will try to manipulate you, try to make you feel bad, whatever. But then you recognize this person's being a jerk to me,
Mm,
right? What's what's in it for me? I'm not gonna let them make me feel bad. I know where I'm at. If they want to make me feel good about it, it means nothing to me.
mm.
That's their life. I keep their energy out. I want to keep.
Can we
I,
talk
I want to.
about the selfishness of that?
What's so selfish about it?
When
Tell
we
me,
be
say
not
more.
taking into consideration um why they're that way? Is that my job?
It it's never your job. Your first responsibility is always to yourself.
Mm,
If you have the extra capacity, and you have to be aware if you have the extra capacity, then you be like, hey, let me see where this person's coming from.
mm,
Because most of the time in my space of work, right, you know, all I see is hurt people. They're angry, they're proud, they're blah 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 blah. And it's because they're trying to protect themselves. They've
mhm.
been hurt, it's not wounded, they're still wounded, and they're just doing all this shit. You see guys, especially all the time, being loud, like I'm cool, I'm a badass, whatever. I'm like, if you have to announce it, I believe you less.
Dang.
Right?
Yes, I get it.
And
Yeah.
if you have to announce it somewhere and you believe that you're not safe and you're not danger, or you're trying to make sure that no one sees you as weak so no one picks on you or something. And I was like, yeah, you're hurting.
It's
That's
like
all I
seeking
see.
outside validation because someone, if I say it out loud, then someone else can agree, which will make it true on the
Yeah,
outside. Because apparently on the
yeah,
inside, I don't believe it.
yeah.
Ah,
You the strongest guys, in a very more typical macho context, right? The strongest guys, they walk away from loudmouth. They walk away from fights because they know nothing more important than preserving their safety, nothing more important than their happiness, nothing more
yeah.
important than de-escalation, protecting their family or friends or whatever. They know nothing's more than that. If the
Yeah.
last thing is you try to start a fight, they will finish the fight, but they will
Mhm.
never start it because they got more important things.
I recently watched some anime, and I
Yeah, let's go.
realized in the anime, the toughest dudes were the calmest, and they didn't do. And then the other guy was like, why is he so calm? He's like, because he knows he can kill you in one punch. So he doesn't
Yeah,
have to do all
yeah,
this talking. And I'm like, oh, I took that for myself. I'm like, okay, I copacetic collectiveness because
yeah,
I know what I can, the damage, so to speak, that I can do, or I know my worth, you know. But I saw that, I learned that from the anime. I'm
yeah.
like, look at
I
him, he's
love
all
I
quiet.
love that. I love that growth from all these places. I tell people it's so easy to see which is the easy path or which is the hard path. Is it easier to crap on other people,
Mm,
bring them down, or is it easier to do the inner work to navigate your hurt, navigate your feelings?
yeah,
It's easier to crap on other people because that's what most people do.
yeah,
That's just it.
yeah,
So the hard path, the real strength path, because you got to do the work, is to how do I keep calm in tough situations? How do I how do I appropriately be like, I got problems. I'm not going to blame them. I'm going to take accountability.
yeah.
Taking accountability is hard. I know so because everyone
uh
blaming everyone else. You know
yeah,
that.
accountability on the fact that you're responsible for what's happening. Like I'm getting
Yeah.
to that point where I'm like, okay, if I'm not gonna blame my parents, I'm not gonna blame anybody else, I'm not gonna blame society. I'm just making
Yeah.
choices.
Yeah. Or another hard one, with friends or loved ones, be like, hey, I love you, but I gotta call you out on your bullshit.
Mm.
And I can do both at the
That was
same
hard
time.
for me. That was hard for me.
because you don't want to hurt people's feelings. You don't want to rock
Right.
the boat, right?
Right.
But see, you're caring about your feelings more than what's good for both of you. Because that person may be living in their ignorance and you don't trust them to receive what you have to say. You don't you fundamentally do. You don't trust them that they'll receive it in the way you intend. You don't trust them that they'll be come to the table and be like, you know what, Mimi? You right in some ways. You might not have the full picture, so you might not get it right, and
Mhm.
that's okay. But there's some stuff in there that's worth it. And then you do the work to investigate it deeper. That's hard, right? Because we don't do that.
How do we deal with the people that say you do bring that up to, though, that you're like, hey, this is messed up, the way that you're doing this is, it's not conducive to our friends, to a good friendship, or to a good connection, or to even you as a human being, what you're doing. How do you bring that without creating an argument, if it's somebody who's even ignorant of their own doings?
Yeah.
I can say I've
Um,
I've been there before.
You
How do
you
you do
gotta
that?
you gotta go back to basics, and it's just communication, right?
Ah,
The example I'll use is like, if you got a friend who's got stuff stuck in their teeth, do do you want me to point it out as soon as I notice it so that you can deal with it as fast as you can? Do you want me to pull you aside in a privacy so that we can just deal with it in private? Do you want me to like send you a text message so that nobody knows, right? Like,
yeah.
have the conversation about, hey, you know what? I care about you. We known each other. I trust you.
Ah,
Sometimes we're going to have some shit we want to talk about. How
yeah.
do you want to talk about it? You don't have to answer right now. Give them, a day or week to spin it around. But like, it's a valid conversation. For
Yeah.
me, I'm like, I would like some tact. Like, you can bring anything you want up to me, but one is, please do it in private.
Mm.
And number two is, please do it in a way where you're not attacking my character. Just
Mm.
tell me about the behavior. Be like, hey, man, you're wonderful. It's great. But hey, it was a little loud. You were being a little loud and you kind of dominated the conversation a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? I get that because I navigate my neurodiversity. When I get excited, that happens. Thank you for letting me know. Let me equip you. Next time you think I'm a little too much, hey, you have permission to interrupt me because
Mhm.
I just don't notice, right? And you can
Yeah.
have those conversations because that's the trust building, and that's the I'm getting to know you,
What do
you
you do
getting to
when you
know me.
can't? What do you do if it's a person that doesn't see any wrong in themselves, or that doesn't see that they need to change anything, or that's like, what, you're the one,
Cool.
you're just too sensitive, or you're
Yeah.
just what do we do with, if we
You,
is that a connection even worth saving
it hit.
if they won't
You
even
just hit the
listen?
ceiling. You just hit the ceiling, and you may have to accept that, and you may have to make a decision. Be like, hey, this person, they'll never be wrong, but shit, they're great for pub trivia, right? And I'll just engage them at pub trivia, and that's the only time we see each other, and we won't go into
Mm,
depth. But man, they're a great teammate, right? And that's just it. And maybe tomorrow, or maybe a year from now, they grow. That's their business. That's not your
yeah.
business. But you create the space. Like, I see where you're at. I accept you.
Yeah.
Because what I don't want you to do is be like, hey, Mimi, I wish you were a person that you're not. What a dick move, right?
Mm,
If I
mhm.
did that.
Yeah.
Hey, me, I
Yeah.
wish you were a little more open-minded. Hey, Mimi, I wish you were a little taller, stronger, faster, whatever. I wish you were a little smarter. I wish you were a little more sensitive. I wish you turned down the sensitivity, right? Like, all that's saying is I'm not accepting you.
Mm,
Nothing else matters past that sentence.
that sucks.
It does suck. Let's honor that. It does suck because oftentimes you're a good person. You believe in people. You believe
Hmm.
that people can do better. It sucks, but at the same time, you can also still believe in them. Be like, maybe tomorrow, maybe a month, maybe from here. Not my story though, but I can still be hopeful.
I guess I can touch on the jealousy a little bit more, and be I guess a little more open, because I when I moved here from Birmingham, and I moved to
Hmm.
Hollywood, I I saw the amount of beauty in Los
Sure.
Angeles, the women, and I
Something
was like,
stirred
oh
inside
my
you.
God. Yeah. Because, well, first
Yeah.
I'm like, right. I'm like, this is amazing. Everybody's beautiful. So much side boob. And I'm just an Irwan. Like, I'm a Zonian goddess. Like, how, so it's like, it was a lot. And I was like, well, I started to have like the body dysmorphia shit. And
Real,
also
real.
another thing that is in Hollywood, all the signs of like all the lingerie and the nakedness, and so you start comparing, or I started comparing my body, and I'm like, there's no freaking way that I'm gonna look like that ever.
Yeah.
And then the dynamics of the Hollywood, to where I would get judged by people as being the help because I'm Latina, I
Mm,
have curly hair,
mm.
I'm curvy. So it's like, so when I would hire people, uh and we would go out, because I like making friends with everyone. Just because you're helping me doesn't mean that you're inferior at all. So we're
Yeah.
still gonna hang out, let's go have some drinks. If it was a tall blonde, they would be so nice, and then sideways to me, but I'm the one paying the check, you know
Yeah.
so it's like, I getting those judgments and seeing those dynamics, and I felt jealous about that for some time, until I had to refine, or oh no, hold on, it's doing it again.
Oh,
Let
no
me see.
worries.
That's okay, it's okay, we're doing it again. Let's see.
Intermission. If anyone's watching, I'm just here.
It's coming in, it's coming in,
There,
just give
there
me
you are.
okay. So I had to refine that,
Hmm.
that in myself, because also I had just had a period of time with certain relationships with people where I didn't feel good enough, I didn't feel
Hmm.
pretty. So then that kind of fed into it. It's like, oh, you're not ever going to be
Yeah.
a Kim Kardashian or whatever. But the I felt for some time, I did feel the jealousy of which is so fucking, it's not even in my character to be jealous of beauty. It
Really?
was
You stop
it
being
was
human? When'd you stop being human?
to be jealous of beauty, no, because I find women attractive. I would not have a
Cool.
relationship with one, but I am open to see. I not open. A man will never be as beautiful as a woman. A man will never be soft like a woman or smell good like a
Okay.
woman. So women has its own
I feel you. I feel you.
amazingness, and I appreciate that, you know. Um, but I'm not supermodel. I'm my 5'5" and whatnot. So I had to coming from bad self-esteem, then to have all this in my face of even things that I knew, like, come on, Mariah, it's marketing, it's an ad,
It's
relax.
capitalism. It's preying on your
Right.
insecurities, trying to make money, right? And I'm so sorry that you had to experience that, because so many men, women, non-binary friends, had to go through that. Especially, we're in SoCal. There's 11 million people. Shit, I don't care if you're tall, skinny, whatever, curvy, whatever. There's somebody for you in terms of, does someone find you attractive, right?
Right.
But money pushes up certain standards, and often being very Western centric standards, right? And if you're not it, that sucks.
Yeah. I'm like, well, why am I always think that I'm the maid? She's the one working for me.
It- it-
Like, why am I
it-
these judgments of being short curly hair and a Latina? It's like, okay, so I guess you're
yeah,
the maid, or you're the
yeah,
help, or you're
yeah,
that for a
and
minute that was heart wrenching.
it is. And the sucky thing is, it changes. that's for better and for worse. It changes because I
Mhm.
grew up as an Asian dude, and no one's ever been like, "Oh, hot Asian dude." It literally took like a wave of K-pop to produce all these hot Asian dudes. Where
Ah,
I'm like, "Holy shit, man! How much do you work out? You're 5% body fat, perfect makeup, perfect hair, perfect fashion." I'm like,
right.
"Shit." On one hand, yay, but also you're getting fetish size. That sucks too. But
Yes, and the femininity, then you got the femininity in, because I think that's what women are attracted to, is the femininity in the man. The beauty. That's
yeah,
so much beauty. It's like, oh my God, you're beautiful man. Like there's a
yeah,
femininity in it.
and and I want to, I also want to bring up, for any listeners, is there's also like negative aspects to be fetish sized too. Like
Hmm.
the example, how many black men have been fetish sized? So like, oh man, you're so hot, or you must have a big, I don't know if we can say it on that show, right? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wow,
BBC. That's what I heard.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and and
and as
and
a
how
Latina with a big
reductionistic.
butt, because I have a big butt, so that's like a thing. Like being a
Yeah,
Latina with a big butt, it's like
yeah.
it doesn't call the best attention. It doesn't
It
call the nicest
reduces you.
people.
It just reduces you to just one bit of you.
Hmm.
That sucks.
You
And
don't see past
if
that. You don't see my
you don't
person.
see past it, right? Like, in the certain spaces and consent, maybe with your friend, your lover, or whatever, you can be like, hey, call attention to it.
And
But
consent.
for rando, I'm like, that's weird. Okay, stay away.
Right, right. Because now you're in your head about me.
Hmm. That's
Yeah,
that's not
yeah.
right.
Well, that I never agreed with or like that shit either. Growing up, being told because of my shape to cover up, and to leave things to
Pure
the imagination. It's like, hold on. So you
puritanical
want me to
standards.
imagine? Yeah. So you want? That's what I would hear. I would be like, okay, so you want me to cover up so that you can imagine what I look like.
That ain't right,
Like
right?
that
And
just doesn't. But then they tell you that as a growing girl, leave things to the imagination, cover up. Like, why is that even a sentence?
or even specifically here in more Western places, we encourage women to be more sexy and embrace it, but we penalize women for being more sexy. And I was like, what?
Right, right. Because then you're dressing slutty, or you're dressing hoary, or you look like a streetwalker or whatever. When all I'm
What
doing is
all
I'm
those
going to
all
the
those
club.
connotations? Yeah,
Right.
you ain't bothering nobody.
Can people control themselves, I guess? Can you control your mind? Can you control can you control your own thoughts
That
based
ties into
on
the jealousy, that ties into the shame, right?
Mhm.
Ties into how dare she live in a way that's not in the way that I live.
In a way that's not comfortable to me? Whoa.
Yeah. Why is it about your
Whoa.
comfort? Why is it
Wow.
about why is it about your comfort?
Wow.
Be, because people can't hold that. People,
Hmm.
especially when you live in places that are very monoculturally, everyone's on the same page, so you don't really necessarily go through that. But when you live in a
Yeah.
place like America with the intersectionals,
Like
you see it all the
California,
time.
where it's
You
everything. There's
you go
everything.
when you were in Birmingham, it wasn't a problem because everyone was on the same page.
The goal is to yes, you go to school, you go to work, you find a husband, you get the children, you get married, you're a woman,
Yeah,
but then you come out of these spaces where, like, are you saying monocultures? I'd never heard that word
yeah.
before. um and yeah, coming here was, I almost had to like refine myself and my identity uh completely, like from my soul, because what I thought I was not, it just was not, I was not me.
Yeah.
It
You
was a
you
construct of my environment to fulfill the requirement of living that
you
life in that world.
I love that you say that because I want to just succinctly, you were the best version of yourself in Birmingham that you felt safe enough to be. and not an ounce more.
but was right. Yeah.
Because you wanted to feel safe. You didn't want to be ostracized. You didn't want to deal with bullshit. You didn't want to, get yelled at or whatever, or deal with
Right. What's the
people
right
giving you
thing
dirty
to
looks.
do? What's the what I thought was, the right thing to do, the rules of life as a human being and my upbringing, with all that. And
Mhm.
then it's like, okay, I can fit in rather than,
Yeah.
living over here. There's it's so much about being yourself and standing out. Uh I had an acquaintance once say, "This is the land of fakery. This is like where everybody makes it up." And I saw that in a different way. I,
Hmm.
I saw that, well, this is where people can actually be themselves and create who they want to be
Yeah.
instead of fitting in. So I don't really see it as a fake. I think this is probably
Yeah.
as real as it gets, because you can be loud and you can
Yeah.
make up what you wear, and you can make
Yeah.
up who you are. So it's not fake. It's actually the realest
Yeah.
real that I've seen.
Yeah. I love that about one of the most lovable parts I think of SoCal for me is like you can be weird as fuck and you'll find a neighborhood of people who are just like, yep, come
Just
over
like
here.
you. Yep.
It's
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And if it's not Long Beach, if it's not Silver Lake, if it's not Highland Park, if it's not Manhattan Beach, you got money and all that. If it's you want to live in the mountains, go for it. It's like you might have to spend the energy to find it, but hell, I think you can find any which version here.
No, I'll accept, Howie, though, that I am an explorer. So
Hmm.
I'm the kind of person that if I meet someone new, I want to learn.
Yeah, yeah, me
Tell
too, me
me,
too.
show me your world. If that's something you like to experience, I'd like to experience it with you. Uh,
Hmm.
as long as it's not to my detriment, you know.
Hmm.
But and because of that, I believe that I've gathered little bits throughout my life of everyone I've ever met that has
Hmm.
made an impression. When I moved here from the South, I had a really country Southern accent. I mean, it was thick, and
Oh, I
I
love
and
it.
I and I didn't hear it until I started communicating and going in doing stand up, and people were like, "Where are you from?" And I would tell them where I came from, and they're like, "Oh, that's why you talk like that." And I'm like, "How am I talking?"
It came out right there.
Yeah, that's what I said. How am I talking? But I had to, it not being English, not being my first language. I also had to realize I have learned to create. I had to learn in California to create. What do I sound like? What's
Mm.
my tone when I speak English? Because it's not the same tone when I speak Spanish, and it's not the same
Hmm.
tone when I've been speaking Spanish and then I go to English. I still have the teque 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 of
Yeah, yeah,
Spanish that
yeah,
transfers into English, and then as I'm speaking more English, then the teque teque goes away. So
yeah,
being a non-native English speaker is in itself a creation of something, because this is not my language. And if I communicate with my family, they don't know what this is. They don't know who
yeah,
this
yeah.
is, so we are constantly creating, who we are, and it's not fake if you
It's
live
it
it.
was it was never fake. I would argue it was never fake. Similar to you. Like, when I'm speaking to my parents, I speak Chinese English, Jinglish, right? And I will run into this weird wall where it'd be like, I know a word in English, I know a word in Chinese. It's the same word, but I can't translate between them for some reason. And I'll just like, okay, just pick the one that I'm using right now. And
Yeah.
if I start talking to a friend in English, occasion, I'll just like throw in some random Chinese words. They're like, huh?
Well, that's how I
Because
know
I
how to
know,
say it.
yeah, it was like my brain stuck. But no,
Yeah.
like I completely feel it. And I actually argue it's never fake. It's just who you are in the moment. It's how you want to present yourself. If you want to present yourself this way because you feel this way or you're afraid of judgment,
Right.
we can argue that's masking, but that's the you that you feel best to present. Who am I to tell you, hey, you should feel stronger, better, safer to present some different version? That's not my business. It's not. It's my business to, how can I make it safer? How can I help you out? That's my
To
business.
be your best self, to be, yeah, and to feel safe around me. When I moved to the South from Chicago, I still had a very thick Puerto Rican accent. And one of my stories is telling when I went to college in admissions, the lady said to me, "You're so pretty, but I don't know what you're saying." To which the girl who later became my best friend was like, "Oh, ma'am, you understood what she said. She just has an accent, but you know what she said." So she stood up for me. But then I started to mimic. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to talk like you for you to respect me, which is
we're working on it. We're working on it.
So
right?
I learned how I would repeat, and I'd be in my room, hi. No, it's not hi. Hi. So and then it became me. It became
Hola.
right. It became the way that I spoke with that country accent, because that's how everyone was speaking around me. And then later, with years, 15, 17 years of living in that, then it's almost like a brainwash.
You were trying to survive. You were doing what you thought you needed to get by a little more. It sucks, but
People would ask me, older women would ask, like, Mimi, who are you? I'm like, what you talking about? I'm me. I know, but why you talk? I'm like,
because I can.
This is who I am. This is what I am being. I like to say I am who I am when I'm being. I am what I am when I'm being that, because I don't think that everyone is across the board the same all the time.
Nope.
We
absolutely
have
not. We show different parts. We feel. You and I both know the way we talk to each other is not the same you would talk to a little kid.
Oh, that's
right. Not the same way. It's not the same way we would talk to like our parents or grandparents. I don't swear in front of my parents, and I don't swear in front of little kids either. Am I being fake? No, it's just I don't think it's appropriate. Other people may think they're okay with that, or maybe they have different relationships. My favorite is like when I talk to non-Asians who call their parents by their first name. I was like, what? What'd you call them?
Right. It's culturally.
That's weird.
Where's the respect? Where's the respect?
Yeah, right. And I'm just like, yeah, that's just works for me.
Right.
Good enough.
At every conversation, we end up always coming to that part is the personal, how personal your life is, how other people don't call your shots and you don't call other people's shots, or you don't have the right to say, I don't have the right to say how anyone else should behave. Just don't let it be to my detriment. And I will move as a conscious and aware person to not be of a detriment to someone else. Reason why I'm okay with anyone ever saying that they need to move on from me, because apparently you've grown in a direction where I no longer apparently serve your existence.
It's the hardest thing in the world because it's loss. It's a version of loss. It sucks. We could, for all the best reasons, like you talked about.
But a loss of connection. But you shouldn't make yourself fit into somebody else's.
You shouldn't.
No.
You're breaking up for all the right reasons, but it's still a breakup.
Yeah.
It sucks.
We women go through a lot of the jealousy and the enviousness and the cattiness, and I've heard men say that all the time. Men do too. Do men do too?
we may not be loud about it.
Yeah, we're
Just because
loud.
we're not loud about the feeling, just because
Huh.
we're taught to stuff down our emotions, just because we're penalized by society. If I show my emotions, that I'm going to get shit on or be thought less than. But that doesn't mean I'm not feeling the feeling.
Oh. Oh. So men just
And
aren't loud about it. They just keep because of
mhm,
expectation society and the masculinity
yeah,
and the
yeah.
yeah. So we're almost allowed to be more emotional
With
by standards.
women broadly, and I'm saying this with, huge 50,000 foot level, right? But women broadly have more permission to be emotional. Are women, and I want to, again,
But then we're
women are
expected
still
to be mean and
penalized.
catty too. Then that comes out
No,
too, right? That's part of it.
women have more permission to be mean or catty.
Mm,
Doesn't mean it's okay,
right. Okay.
but we have social permission. And here's the example that I use. We socially, a woman hits a man, nobody gives a shit. A man hits a woman, there will be a small mob on his ass.
Right.
Is it okay for anyone to hit anyone else?
Mm-mm. No, sir.
That's societal standards, right?
How do we make the world a better place, Howie?
Ugh.
How do we make
Ugh.
more awareness? How do we make it so everybody is like, you know what? If it's my fault, it's my fault. Let's have a communication. Let's have a conversation. I guess this is how we do it.
Yeah,
By actually
we have
being the
conversations like
world.
this. Shameless plug for my emotional intelligence coaching business. Hey, if you want go through this growth, but with support, here I am.
But
Um,
it's
but
the oh my god, I forgot the name of your website. The something turtle.
oh, thriving
The
thriving turtle. There you go.
thriving. Yes.
I I just
Thrivingturtle.com.
I just started a Substack just so I can do more writing. So I'll plug that in. We'll later on Instagram or something. But just like you said, you learned from anime, right? You learned lessons in life in anime. I don't care where you learned a lesson. I just care that it works for you.
Yeah.
If it works through me, if you work through anime, you read a
Yeah.
book, have a friend, have an elder. I just
Yeah.
want you to grow and have the
Right.
opportunity to grow because I think you and I have both seen what happens to our friends, to our community, to society when those opportunities aren't there,
Right.
especially in places for people of color.
Yeah. Yeah. The being stuck in the mindset of I guess previous people with previous agendas, previous decisions, it's not yours. It's not your
It's
goal,
not.
your plan, the way that you want to run your life. You're just running off of someone else's ideas that may not even work anymore. Because we're realizing that
Yeah,
I'm realizing that a lot now. Like,
yeah.
no.
You, we were all taught as kids because as kids we didn't know how the world worked. We just relied on
Mhm.
these larger people to guide us because hell if I know how things
Right.
work.
Right.
And
And then
if
you take it
you,
as your truth. You take it as, okay,
yeah,
this is the right thing. This is the wrong thing. There's supposed,
yeah,
that's the supposed quote teaching what of
hmm,
adults or what adults are supposed to do for children is right and wrong and guidance and whatnot. So we take it.
yeah. I think the big one that was lost for me and many people is like for for my parents, they taught me what they taught me because their experience was they had to survive. Being happy, anything like that is second to just not dying, right? And
Dang.
that's from their experience, and they
Right.
taught me to the limit of their experience. I had to learn that they did their best, and at the same time, some of the stuff doesn't serve me, and I had to let that go. And
How hard is that
society,
though?
the hardest
Because it is
shit,
so
because you have to
hard.
go against, right? That's you talk about self, right? This is where I'm like, I gotta recognize who I am, where I am right now. Where do I want to go? how do I take a risk on myself?
Hmm.
How do I navigate, I want to turn it back into our topics of, how do I how do I go into topics like jealousy?
Right.
You know, I remember as a kid, like, I had to help out at home. I had to, do translating and stuff. I had to study hard, right? No time for play. And I'm like, huh, my my kindergarten friend, my first grade friend, his parents are taking him on a summer vacation. What's a summer vacation?
Vacations. Right.
What that? Well, we go into a lake house. What's a lake house? I intuitively know it's a house by a lake. Like,
Right.
what does it mean?
What do you
And
mean you
then they
get to
go
leave your
off.
life and go to another life
Yeah.
for a short period of time where things are easier on purpose because you've planned it and that's your life? And I'd never
Yeah.
heard of a vacation. That's right.
And then they come back and it's their school starts like, oh, what'd you do? I was like, I stayed at home. What'd you
Right.
do? I played in a lake. Again, what is this lake house? People have more than one house?
Right.
What?
Right. No, and that having to be as a kid, it was funny when, if I can relate, to have the moments where I would be like make friends with kids like that, and then I would be like the kid that doesn't know about any of this in the world, and parents serving me like your mom is bringing us cookies and milk in your room and asking if we're okay, and it's like I don't see my
look,
mom all weekend because she's at work. Like, what do you mean?
look, look how young we start. The jealousy, the envy, or if you have
Yeah.
siblings, the differences between the siblings. Oh, common topic I work with is like eldest daughter, right? They got to do the pseudo parenting shit because they're oldest and they can take care of like the American side of things while the parents are trying to do their best. But that means any younger siblings like, well, I can have a little more fun because I'm
Right.
not taking care.
Right.
And then if you have more, whoever's youngest kid has the least responsibilities because they have the least
The
capability,
baby. Yeah.
the baby, but you know they're receiving perhaps or oftentimes envy and jealousy
Hmm.
from the elder siblings, and they don't even understand why. And it was for a
Oh,
reason they didn't even control. They
yeah.
didn't be like, I want to be born youngest. They didn't. They barely asked to be born, right?
They didn't ask to be born.
Right.
Right.
And so, how hard is that if you have siblings to even
Yeah.
broach this topic?
It was there, those were points of jealousy because then you got to go back to your house once the vacation with your friend who has parents that serve them, and then you come
Mhm.
back to your house. It's like, damn, my stupid house, my stupid apartment, like
It,
and these cheap food that's in black and white
yeah.
boxes, and
Eh, eh,
then you start
How
ruminating
how
as a
many
child.
how many years did it take me to understand that my parents were doing their best with whatever they had and whatever was passed down to them into my 30s, late 20s, early 30s before I even started to wrap my head around it.
Mhm.
Started, right? And the more I wrap my head around it, the more compassion I have, for not only them, but for other parents or for people who lived, you know, didn't have the privileges that I have, as well as the people who have more privilege than me, right? You know, it's, I just look at it as an opportunity to be like, well, I could, adding more jealousy and envy to the world ain't, it's not making it a better world.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I don't know if it's may make it worse, but definitely not making it better.
To close it, I I want to, I guess, come out with a lesson on self-management during those times because they're going to happen again.
Of course.
And I don't want, say personally, I don't want the next time that I'm jealous, which actually I've done a lot of inner work and I've worked through enough to remove that as an impactful thing. When I feel it, I'm pretty good at processing it and going, oh, okay, I'm a little jelly, you know. I guess I'm a little jelly, but and I see it with a funny. I turn it into a, oh, look at me being a little jelly. Like, can we turn these emotions, or is that the smartest way to deal with these feelings of deep resentment and or can we be introspective and turn those emotions into something else, because we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And first off is to just have freedom with it. If you want to use humor and that works for you, go for it. Who am I to decide, right? But what I would say to anyone is to honor it, notice it, and not go straight to judgment of like, oh, I feel jealous, I'm a bad person,
or
it's a
I'm not
bad feeling,
jealous, or no, I don't
or
feel
I'm not
that.
jealous.
I don't
That's
care. I don't care.
that's you're literally invalidating your own feeling. What a move if someone does that to you, but when you do it to yourself, same shit, right? So,
Yeah.
first thing is notice it, and then if you can, journaling, work with a coach, whatever, do you, right? But
Part
then
of
ask
emotional intelligence is the self-awareness.
self-awareness, yeah. And the second, this tying to self-awareness is, where did I learn this? Where did I learn to be jealous? And I'm not saying like go to the exact moment that you were taught this,
In your
right?
childhood, right?
If I neurodiverse memory, no good, right?
Right.
But for me, it could be like, well, I was taught to be jealous because society works on a scarcity mindset and everything's competitive. A common one is like, oh, some Mimi, someone checking you out, and your man get jealous, right? He get jealous at someone else checking you out. And I was like, why? Why would I be jealous? Mimi's attracted to this dude. Cool story. And he'll be
It's a
like,
cool
oh,
story.
he'll be like, oh, feeling possessive, or feeling like
That's
she's gonna leave
insecurity.
me.
Yeah.
That's his insecurity. And I
Right.
was like, okay, where'd you learn to be possessive? Mimi is a free-thinking woman. You don't own her.
Right.
Do you not trust that she'll stay with you? Why don't you trust that she'll
Right.
stay with you?
Right. You might
Is
check yourself.
right? But then you have to admit the hard stuff. Maybe it's like, oh man, like I was cheated once in the past, and now I feel really insecure every time. And I was like, that's a valid feeling. I'm super valid, but you're kind of going about in a way that's not great, bro. Because you're trying to control a person instead of saying like, hey, how can I fill it with more trust, more love, more respect?
Yeah.
So you have that self-awareness, you just dig into the feelings. Once you know where it's at, then you can be like, how can I transform it? What you're saying is like, well,
yes,
along the way I'll need some support, but I want to get to the point where I'm like, oh, someone checking me out, that's cool, she hot, I know, so because I think she hot too.
Right. That's right. Right. So basically,
just like how
check
you're like, I
yourself
appreciate
before you
women.
wreck yourself.
Exactly. Very trendy. Right? But you have to give yourself that grace, that strength to explore those dark bits of yourself, to shine a light on it and be like, I'm not going to say like not proud of those bits, right? But they are human. And oftentimes you were programmed with it. You were programmed to be jealous, right? And so it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It is your responsibility to navigate and grow and heal, but it was not your fault.
Yes. To address, check yourself. Address yourself. Right? Oh, and that's so hard.
And then to put yourself in spaces where you can practice it, to spaces to recruit help. If you're, Mimi, if you were talking to your man, be like, you know what, that's a valid feeling. I promise you that when these situations happens, I will conduct myself in a way that will demonstrate, hey, I want to be with you,
Right.
I want to go home with you, all
Right.
those things.
Create
Guy comes
secure
up to,
spaces, secure
yeah,
relationships. Yeah.
if a guy comes up and flirts with you, cool, he trying to shoot a shot, that's not the worst thing in the world. But Mimi's going to be like, thank you for the compliment, thank you for finding me attractive, but this is not going to go anywhere because I want to go over there with him.
Right, because I have a person that is my point of attention, and where my respect and my honor is, and who I
Yeah.
really care who thinks it's attractive is, I want them to like me,
Hmm.
you know.
and
So
and how much that's filled with trust, that's filled
yeah,
with love, not the insecurity, not the
yeah.
jealousy. You don't, I ask people, it's a flippant question, but I'm like, do you want to build your relationship on a foundation of fear,
Mm,
on jealousy? And they're like, no, no, I never want to. But you're doing it.
right. But your
And it's because
choices,
they are not acknowledging they're scared, they're not acknowledging they're hurt, they're not acknowledging that scarcity mindsets or capitalism, that everyone's competition,
right?
the insecurity
That we're
from the beauty
battling against,
standards,
yeah, our
right?
with our desires and who we are. Yeah,
Right. That zero sum game of, if I win, someone else has to lose. I'm just like,
oh, that's not true. Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
it's not true.
yeah.
Love
Everyone
is
can
love.
always win. Yes, and there's more of it. And that just multiplies, but you got to give it out to get it
You
back.
gotta give it out, and you gotta feel safe enough to give it out. It won't work 100% of the
Nice.
time, but you didn't need it to work 100% of the time.
Yeah. I'm working on that, on being okay with the gray. I've since having our conversations, I'm actually a lot better at that too. I was
Oh, I love
I've
that.
been I've been a very 0 to 100, 0 or 100. Either I have it all
Hmm.
perfect or it's not gonna happen. And I've learned a lot to check myself, and I've gotten a lot of because I love the self-awareness. If you see my books, are all about figuring out why I am how I am, and how I can be
Hmm.
better, and all that. So uh, claiming responsibility
Hmm.
and accountability on my emotions is big, especially being a person that's been on medication for
Hmm.
emotional management, and that goes through, mood swings, to be
Hmm.
aware, oh, this is what's happening. Let me take some time to myself, and
Hmm.
let me address, let me, what is it, pull out my notebook real quick, you know.
Yeah. But
So that's
when
been,
you know
thank you
you're,
so much.
oh, think that really heartwarming that, I made an impact. It's so heartwarming.
Oh yes, you
And
are, you are.
for people who are listening, it's like, when you do that inner work to understand yourself, that's the first moment you can teach other people to love you in the
Mm,
way that you need, right?
mm,
You might be like, hey, I'm moody and it's just happening, and maybe it's tied to, I had a bad day at work or whatever, and I might be loud, I might be ridiculous, but when I'm in that state, I just need a big hug,
yes. Oh my god, you said it. If I'm ever not,
right?
if I'm smiling or not, I always want a hug. But yes,
Exactly.
huggies of love.
You have
Yes.
to you have to know it, because some people might be like, I need 5 minutes to just be myself, and for some other people it'll
Right.
be like,
Don't touch me.
I need a warm blanket, a pint of ice cream, and a trashy show, right? But
Yeah.
you got to
Whatever your
figure that
comfort
out,
is. Right.
right? And then, I wanted to add on something, because I think it's so powerful that you're doing, this inner work, which is, and I'm guilty of this too, which is intellectualizing. Read all the
Hmm.
books, read all the books, read all the books,
Ah,
right?
yeah.
Like, read all the
Yeah.
research. Reading all the books is good for here. It's not the same as
Not for
feeling
my
it in
heart.
here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When we talk about jealousy, oh, jealousy is this. It's when society, blah, 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 blah. Tell me,
In
how
your heart.
does it feel like a heart is like, oh, I'm angry. Oh, I feel hurt. Oh,
Or
I feel
sad. Or,
scared.
yeah.
I feel tense in my back. I feel
Yeah.
the world collapsing on me. Tell me that stuff. And then
Right.
I'll be like, let's walk through it together, because it's okay for you to feel that.
Yeah.
It's okay for you to feel that by yourself. It's okay for you to feel in my presence when you're with your loved ones, right? be like, you feeling jealous? I still hold you because I know that you're just having a human moment. It's not saying I love you less. It's not saying I trust you less.
Right.
It's just saying
Right.
I'm having a human moment.
Right. Right. Let's not be afraid of that. Let's be, I guess, accepting of those feelings as normal and processable, and work through, like, processable, that we can work through them to understand where they come from, and then that's okay. That's okay. And then
Yeah.
you can move on. Yeah.
How much deeper is your relationship when that happens and you're like, we're going to hold each other through this. That's what you call
Yeah.
your ride or die.
Yeah.
You saw me at my worst and you're still be like, I'm gonna still stand by you.
Yeah.
You
I
held me
love
by
you
worst and you
still.
honored it, and I still love you. Do that
Yes.
for it. I promise you, you do that for any man in your life. He will stay by your side
I
because
love
he'll
it.
be like, I can be the best me, the worst of me, the all of me, and you will still honor me and respect me and love me.
Right. You don't see me as little or less because you saw me feel. Yeah. And that's what I think what I need, when it comes to people, is, see your humanity. I want to know that you feel. I want to know that and that's fine. And that's
So
good.
so many
Just
people
let's
are afraid to
process
show it.
it. Yeah, let's process it, and let's not hurt others because we're hurt and all this.
So,
Yeah.
so especially so many men who will be like, I'm gonna hold it in till I can't.
Mm,
When I can't is going to be the worst time, the most inconvenient time that hurts the most people because I
and
made it
explode.
about me. I didn't make the space to be like, I have my community.
Yeah. And I
That's
can work through it because I'm loved. That part.
loved and respected
And
every
respect.
which way. That's the I know for a fact the easiest way to hurt men is to say they're worthless. It's the easiest way. That they're not strong enough. They can't contribute.
Yeah.
That they're going to be this society is going to be like, bye. It's the
Right.
easiest way to hurt a man. And so the hardest way, but the most meaningful way is be like, I accept you for who you are, not what you provide, not what I want you to be. Just
Who
whoever's in
you
front of
are.
me, I
You're
want that.
Yeah. 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 Hopefully it's somebody that can do this type of thing, though, because I'm in a position right now in my life where I'm looking for the emotional intelligence. I'm looking to be able to have a conversation, to communicate, and be, because there's a lot, because of the inability that a lot of men have had to be able to communicate. They don't
Yep.
see a way. They don't even know how. So I mean, I need communication. I need, so if I can find that, if I can get that, then we'll be fine.
Yeah. And maybe I'll speak more directly to the men or listeners, right?
Mhm.
Here is an example of your picture is right here, but here's an example of a woman who knows what she wants. She is literally telling you what she wants. All you have to do is get to that level.
Talk
All
to
there is
me.
to it. But talk to in a
Talk
way
to
that's
me.
meaningful. Let's not do that
Yeah.
shit. You can have some chit
Listen.
chat, whatever, but
Yeah.
let's have that higher level. And I say this especially to the men because, one of the ways we've been harmed by patriarchy is we haven't had to raise our level because what was the reason to? Life was going to be good, right? As as I see, I'm going to use the word minority, right? But I
Mhm.
really mean for people who haven't nearly benefited as much from the systems that are currently here, especially the
Mm.
women, people of color, LGBTQ plus, right? They did the work to level up. They did the work to figure out their identity. They did the work to fight systems that told them, you couldn't be who you wanted to be.
Right. You're not good
So
enough.
for all the cis hetero men, it's like, yeah, it's not on them. If you want them to drop their level, what an insult.
Hmm.
It's on us to figure out how to
Rise
raise
up.
our level. For sure, you know, I don't think it's a warning, but it's like to highlight, as you raise your level, your available community is going to become smaller.
Hmm.
You're going to have fewer people that you feel like you can connect with.
Hmm.
And there is going to be a in between bit of, it's hard, it's lonely. You have to refine your tribe, refine the people you vibe with. I just want to validate that feeling because it's a real feeling, especially as, you know, as a man in this space who, like, all I want to do is support other people, but I really want to support other men. Be like, no, we can talk about our feelings. It's important. It's not just for your health, but if you want to talk about your business, you can succeed better at your business. You can weather the hard days better, and you can appreciate the happier days better. You can build more meaningful relationships. You can talk to women like Mimi at levels that she may not have experienced before, and she'll be like, "Ooh, that's cool. That's
I
hot,
like that. That's
right?
deep. That's
That's
hot. That's
deep."
deep.
And you just be that much more of a complete package. And then
Mm.
at the end of the day, you're gonna realize, yeah, you're a minority and you have fewer people to connect with, but you are a minority in that, man, people want to be around you. You are smart, you are emotionally intelligent, you create that safety, right? You are attractive.
You're enlightened.
Platonically, you're enlightened.
Yeah.
And some people, you will run into people who are like, you know, still at the surface level, still
Yeah.
navigating their shame. And it sucks. You can't, you know, it's this weird balance. I can't save people from themselves. I can't do the work
Right.
for them. But sometimes if I got an extra 5%, I can.
Yeah. At
I'll
least
lend it
try to
out because,
communicate some to see if, because
yeah.
sometimes just seeing or putting a little bit out there, which is one of the things that I like to do for with people that aren't too communicative about their feelings. I'll put a little bit of myself, out there, and then see if that fizzles something in them to feel a trust
Hmm.
or a confidence of, okay, you understand. Because sometimes it's just that there's, like you said earlier, it's just trust.
Hmm.
And when it comes to men, I've not known a man that is fully open and trusting to everyone. There's always a guard, for in masculinity, and who, what I am as a person who creates my life. And you know it's a whole different world, man, that I'll never understand. uh but I do like to open myself to say, hey, if you need me, or if you want to have a chat, or if you want to vent, I'm here. And maybe
You
that.
know, I, I, I love what you do. I just want to say this so that you can be even more effective, right? Which is,
Okay, 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 okay.
you put out the offer,
Yeah,
these guarded, walled men oftentimes don't know how to take it.
yeah.
They just don't. It's not even they don't want to. They just don't know
Don't know.
how to. And
So how
you know
do they?
that's
What do
that.
they say back?
I think it's oftentimes, you know, that slow trust building. You know, that's
Mm,
topics that are, you know, it's like little. Let's talk about a little more meaningful. And
yeah,
there's that relationship. The more taboo the topic,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, start at the other end, but work towards it. Work towards what's familiar. I think oftentimes I use sports as a metaphor. I use because, you know, generically,
Yeah.
men will connect with sports. I'll be like, who's your hero? You know, who do you look up to? Which team do you look up to? You know, LeBron or whatever, and be like, go on YouTube and watch some interview about how he talks about his struggle. He
Mm,
didn't get there because it was easy.
right.
He got there because he had to face every physically hard, but also emotionally hard. He
Right.
had to show up on his bad days and his good days because the game is scheduled when it's scheduled. It don't care
Yeah.
about his feelings and how to manage the pressure. He none of the top performing sports business owners, whatever, they just be like, the feeling's not real. I'll just invalidate. They literally learn, how do I work with it? How do I how do I manage it? How do I build safety in myself? How do I take in resources? Right? How do I read books, go to therapy, whatever? get a coach, listen to a podcast, whatever.
Right.
The trend is they didn't ignore it,
Right.
the really successful ones. And that's, that might be, how you can broach the topics and just be like, yeah, I want I want to see you at that level, but that also
Yeah.
means you're going to have to do the work. And if shit, you don't even have to do 100%, do 70%,
Right.
do 60%,
Right.
but man, you'll see the benefits,
Yeah. Look
right?
inside,
And
and I'm here to accept that process.
mhm, because
Yeah.
we accept you for the same reason.
That's love.
Your
Right.
your process as a woman may have some different bits and pieces, but at the end of the day, it's a human process first,
Mm.
right? You're the same. You the same as me. You want to feel good. You want to feel accepted. You want to have good times. You want to feel loved. You want space to give love. You want a space to be authentic, and you hope that you have more good days than bad days.
That's
I
right.
certainly I don't wish for any bad days, but I know
Right.
they're going to come, and when they come, I'm going to take them on. Just like when the good days are here, I'm going to take them on too. You ain't different from me that way, right?
Right. Right. I want to be able to have uh well I, how do I say this? The one thing that we didn't talk about was the jealousy of between men and women. The
What can you say
jealousies,
more?
yes, well, I've seen jealousies of successes
Okay.
since a lot of men they guide themselves, or they see their worth based on what they provide, being out in a world where women can provide for themselves, where honestly a woman does not need a man. It's not the 50s, we're not, or
Yep.
the 40s or the 60s or the 70s. So I've seen, and I'm noticing that that imbalance, like how
Hmm.
as a woman who is seeking success, and I know so many women that are successful and that are thriving, how do we level in this time with jealousy with men who find jealousy in us because of that, because we don't really need
Hmm.
a man in that way. We I'll tell you what I do. I very much believe in the masculine and feminine roles. I
Sure.
I very much believe in that. So I find my balance with man in my femininity, and in the fact that you need me. I need
I
you
could.
too. I need you, and I want you to know that, but know that you need me and I need you, and it's a mutual need. It's not like a complete dependency, like what was in my upbringing, that it was a
Hmm.
complete dependency thereof.
Yeah. No, I completely get you. Like, I think in many ways, not only men and women can offer each other things, but we each have our own influences from the men and women in our lives. Um, and, you talk about the jealousy between men and women, to add context, you mentioned like, oh, it's not the 50s or the 60s or something. This, the dynamic, that dynamic between men and women existed for thousands of years in different cultures, right? Back then when
Mhm.
we were just way simpler, and it was all about power. It was all about who can provide food, who has
Right.
more muscles, can I
Right.
physically overpower. And we don't
Yeah.
live in a society anymore where it's like I can physically overpower. That's,
Right.
let's not do that. And
Yeah.
how women can provide for themselves. And this goes back to what I was saying about men. We need to level up. We need to provide something that's valuable not only to ourselves, that emotional intelligence, that stability, that teamwork, that partnership. It's not only for women's benefits, for our benefit too, right? And I think I think, let me be clear, I've met women who would be like, I make six figures now. I need a man who still needs to make more than me. And I'm like, why are you perpetuating the patriarchy?
Right. Yeah. Oh
Right?
man.
And I'm just like,
Yeah, you want
I
out,
start
but at the same time in.
right. I'm like,
It's an
you
oxymoron.
you can you can find that, but you're the one reducing the available partners to like six dudes, right? And those six dudes have 1,000 women apiece trying to chase them. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I could say that's what you got to work with.
Mm,
So I speak to a lot of the men. It's like, hey, it's let's just be real. It's hard losing that built-in template identity of being a provider because that's
yeah,
what I grew up with, and I was told
yeah,
that's what I'll succeed with that, and I had to let that go and be like, no, I got to find more to offer to the table for not myself, but also potential partners.
right.
And some of that, for example, is like even simple things like, hey, you know what? In a household, we can both cook and clean.
Yes.
It's not a gendered thing where it's who's available,
Yeah. Who's less tired? Who
who
it,
lets
it
that.
just it ends up fitting in when in my relationships. I've just tried to find the balance to where if it's your time to do it, it's if it's my time,
Yeah,
like it's but I very much believe in in my femininity and my softness, but I would love a man to cook for me.
yeah,
I would
and
love that. I
th-
would love to sit down and just be served, by a man who
yeah,
knows how to cook a dinner.
exactly. And I actually took a lot from the LGBTQ community. Again, it's like there are no traditional gender roles. You gotta talk it out and figure what works, right?
That's right.
Like
That's right.
for me, I leaned into like, oh, you know what? I'm a learn to cook. One, because I enjoy not starving while being poor as a college student, right? Number one, self-interest. But number two is like, I've never been traditionally attractive. I've never been buff. I've never been necessarily charming. But I know girls like eating. That's the good venue.
Yes,
Girls
and
gotta
we
eat,
women will choose food and security first.
right? Right.
That
And
is
so
correct.
and so now but I also
Yeah, we
get the
all have
benefits
something
because
to offer
we all have something to offer.
that can
Find
help
someone who
ourselves.
wants what you got put out, and or level
There
yourself
we
up.
go.
Maybe it's take a class in I don't know, history. Go watch anime that you know I'm glad we're in a modern age where it's more acceptable, but I do remember my parents be like, oh, why are you still watching kid stuff? I'm like, I like anime, it's
Yeah.
fun, right?
I
Just
just got
go.
introduced to it recently to the point where I actually enjoyed it because I've always gone to those the like Comic Con since I'm in LA, but I'm not a
Yeah, yeah,
fan. But now just recently I was able to sit down and actually watch some and I'm like, this is hilarious. This is good.
yeah,
This is the storytelling. So I'm getting it, and that was an openness that I had from learning from, like I said, I'm an explorer.
yeah.
But I respect the
Just
things I can learn.
exactly that open-mindedness. Go be, especially a man, go be an open-minded man. I don't know. Go be an open-minded man so that you can discover who your honest identity is, and you're secure in that identity. So when you're secure, you can put it out there. So when you put it out there, the right partner, I'll just say women and cis hetero, right? The right woman can see that, be like, oh, you know what? He's secure in himself. He like
Yes.
himself.
Yes.
That's attractive. The
Yes.
money stuff, you can level up, you can get new jobs, you can whatever, but
Who
who
you
you
are.
are, that's the hard
Yeah.
labor.
Yeah.
And if you we were like, oh, a woman who only wants you for your money, we'd be like, okay, what's your foundation? Money. Is that what you
Yeah.
want your relationship?
Well,
Some people, if some people,
I
fine,
had a
but
girl say,
for
"You
people like
guys
you,
want pretty, women want money. You guys want attractive or that's caring. We all have our wants. It doesn't make anything less or more than, it's just, I guess, your preference."
yeah, it's just a preference.
Yeah.
None of us, I think, ever get 100% of our preferences, but
Talk about it.
all of us have like some zone where we're like, it's got to be at least around here. Too
Yeah.
low, it's okay. We're just not compatible.
Yeah.
And if you want like that 95, 99%, I still say go for it.
Le-
If you can
level up.
own, level up, you know it's going to be more work, you know it's going to take more time, you know it's going to be fewer available. But if that's what you want, I'm never going to stop you from wanting what you
Right.
want. I just want to keep it real.
Check yourself.
Check it.
We got
Yeah.
to check ourselves. Emotional intelligence, check ourselves. Howie, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for this conversation. I'm looking forward to more. I know
Yeah.
everybody's, liking we do a lot. This is good. This is good work. This is good awareness. This is good for me. It's been great, and I've
Mhm.
I've done a lot of growth, because once our conversation's over, Howie, I got to sit down and I got to
Mm.
think. And then I'm one of those people that thinks back, well, what did I say? And how did I say it? And that was good. And, so, and then I have to edit, which means I have to watch this whole thing all over again.
Yeah.
So I've enjoyed the introspection, and I hope that people watching can enjoy introspection as well, because it's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with looking within to create a better without.
Yeah, I love that. And for the listeners, you have the luxury of having to watch this all again and be like, oh, that was good. And then, think about, congratulations, that's a process, right? Because when I watch this back, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, I like that. Or I wish I had the opportunity I could say more, but, it's good what I did.
Thank you.
Because you know what? I'm going to maybe like 5 years from now, I'm going to be a different person. And I'm going to look back at this, be like, some of the stuff, good core values.
Right.
Some of this stuff, who the hell was that?
Not working. Yeah.
Right?
And that's the growth.
Eh,
And being okay
That's
with
the
that.
growth.
Being okay with that.
I tell everyone, we were all little kids who used to shit in our pants, okay? That was all our starting points. All right.
Yes.
Don't think you better than me because we all started from there.
Right. Right.
And
I love that one. We're all little kids shitting our pants. We've come a long way, Howie.
right.
We've come a
You
long way.
get sometimes I eat bad sushi. Guess what? You know what happens. I'm a grown ass man. Sometimes I eat a little too much dairy. Guess what happens?
Yeah,
Right?
we're all human beings. Yes.
We all
We all
human
have
beings.
the humanity. Thank you, Howie. That was the Mimi Show, y'all. And I will see you again next time.
I can't
Y'all.
wait to be back.
Thank you.